Huzzah, Rangers! This is Phil Harris here at the Jacks Rangers Show. I was waiting on an intro to play, but it did not. So hopefully we are live. Anybody on the chat that is watching this right now, perhaps on Facebook, Twitter, X, excuse me, or Twitch. Let us know if you can see this. Also, YouTube as well, if I didn't mention that. Let us know in the chat that you're able to see myself, that we are live here to talk about the Charlotte review. Diamond Dave will be joining here in just a few moments, but I did want to go over tonight's sponsor. Bozo6 has also entered the chat here right on time. This episode is sponsored by Inkify, custom printing and embroidery since 2010. Inkify provides high-quality decorated apparel nationwide. From ordering the apparel to printing, adding a private label, folding, bagging, and fulfillment, they handle it all so you don't have to. Head over to inkify.com to get started on your order and tell them TJRS sent you. You'll get 15% off of your entire order. That, of course, is a hell of a deal. And as I was mentioning a moment ago, this episode of the Jacks Rangers Show is going over the Charlotte Review, Anthem, Rugby Carolina, if you will. We also call them, of course, Healthcare RFC, just poking fun at a 0-16 team. But prior to them being 0-16, they were 0-15. So this was the big game at Fort Quincy on Saturday. I'll talk about my festival experience as we're waiting for Dave to join us here. Crystal, who's a former basketball player and current coach, and I've been watching the HBO Winning Time special, a show about the LA Lakers in the 80s, which is great, by the way. We lost track of time, so we got to Fort Quincy with about 30 minutes left to spare. No tailgating, just straight into the ground for us. We had a lot of people, including Dave, that I saw and just kind of waved and kept walking because I was like so anxious to get to my seat. I was a little annoyed, that we got there so late. So, once in the seat, everything was fine. Bozo6 made an appearance, of course, was giving out the rankings for the first regiment. Wanted to get Dave in here right now because we are live on YouTube. We got people hand pink waving and Anthem Stanks, of course, from Bozo. By the way, guys, we've got some new chat fonts, colors here. Let me know if you like that better. I think we were getting some constructive criticism from folks about not being able to see the chat boxes as they pop up. But Diamond Dave joining us here. How the hell are you, pal?
I'm doing very well, Phil. How are you?
Your mic sounds like you're screaming through a what are those things? A megaphone. Yeah, there you go. So give it to us one more time, pal.
I'll try to do better.
I'm not sure what it is.
I'll try to figure out why it's so loud.
It's not as bad right now, so that's good. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. I did want to let everybody know that the new rugby game that has been delayed for over a year was just recently released. If you're a gamer like myself, you were anticipating this. They did what's called an early release for this new rugby game. And guys, it's really bad. Like, when we're talking about setting the bar for a rugby game, you really have to keep your expectations low and then hope for the best. But this one's really, really bad. Allegedly, at some point, they're going to be adding in MLR teams along with the other teams beyond this early access. But I played it for about 5 minutes, and I'm an experienced gamer, and I was just like, this is too clunky for me, man. I got a refund on that deal. But the reason I bring that up before we get too far anything with Charlotte is I do have Rugby Challenge 3, which is a decent rugby game, and also Rugby Challenge 4, which is maybe slightly better. So we're talking about a 6 out of 10, which for rugby games is practically a 10 out of 10. So that game came out in 2019. I've been slowly updating the Free Jacks roster on there. So I'm going to maybe do some off-season gaming streaming with the Free Jacks. So I just got to tweak a couple things. That's what I was doing prior to the broadcast tonight. So you can also download these teams that I've created, and we'll talk about that in the off season. But I wanted to go over the actual festival stuff. I mentioned how I was a little bit late, Diamond Dave, getting through the gate. What was your experience at the festival? Were you able to enjoy it?
Yeah, I ended up actually bringing some friends from work, or a friend and his brother. They'd come to the previous game for Father's Day,
Okay.
and it was actually the first huzzah
Oh,
upset their very young baby,
wow.
and they had to leave because kids come first.
Yeah. We're getting some information from Bozo that your headphones aren't plugged in
Uh,
and it's echoing hard. I was wondering if that was the issue or not.
oh, that's odd. They are definitely plugged in, but there's clearly an audio issue.
Yeah.
I'll jump off and try to sort and rejoin and see if I can tweak settings.
I wonder if
If we
it's
can fix it.
your mic microphone picking up and not your actual microphone. It definitely sounds different, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll try that. Yeah, once again, we're talking about the festival that took place here. I will say that it was really great to have Bozo in attendance. This is a guy that never comes to any games, as we talk about. He's infamous for that, always doing the watch-alongs, which we appreciate, for the away games, which is great. But he was giving out the rankings, the first regiment rankings for the pins of the tricorn hats. He did a fantastic job hosting the post-match fan reactions on the pitch, since DMF, which is Dan from Merrimack, was unable to attend once again. Check out that video on YouTube if you haven't seen it yet. It's also on Facebook. I thought that was really well done by him. We got several people to talk about the post-match reactions to the win over Charlotte. And while we're waiting for Diamond Dave, you know what we're going to do here is go right into the article as I pull it up here. So I apologize about this, guys. We are having some technical difficulties, but hey, we're going to hang in there. These DC hackers are not going to ruin our night. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So I'm pulling up the match recap from freejacks.com right now. And what it says is the New England Free Jacks hosted their final regular season game this weekend against Anthem RC, which is not Rugby Club, it's Rugby Carolina, where they secured the number one seed in the Eastern Conference and home field advantage for the first two rounds of the playoffs, winning 40-7. The Free Jacks dominated the competition from the start of the match with a strong performance in a crowd of 4,000. Wayne Vanderbank began the scoring with a pop kick to himself and a try. A successful conversion by Jason Patros gave the Free Jacks a 7-0 early lead. Now that's, as I call it, a kick and chase or a chip and chase to himself, made SportsCenter. It was the top 3 on SportsCenter, which is a huge deal, obviously, for sports here in America. SportsCenter is iconic broadcast that are on ESPN. At the 12-minute mark, Free Jacks' Andrew Quatron barreled in for a try off a maul, a successful conversion up the lead to 14-0. At the 15-minute mark, Vanderbank made a crucial defensive play, preventing Anthem from scoring by pulling the ball away just as they reached the try line. That was a try-saving tackle from all-universe Wayne Vanderbank. Party time, excellent from Wayne. I had mentioned in the crowd, this guy knows that he's getting a trophy at the end of this game. Obviously, Wayne Vanderbank was selected and voted by you folks, the fans, the Rangers out there, the 1st Regiment, as the 2024 1st Regiment Fans Player of the Year, and he was definitely playing like it for sure. All right, so Dave is still in the process of getting everything sorted out, so I'm going to fly solo at the moment unless Bozo wants to join in. An emergency call out there for Bozo. If he can jump on here, we'll get the conch shell and starts blowing into it here to have the news team assemble. But what else here? 10 minutes later, Caleb Geiger, who I think got his first start, or hasn't started a lot of games here for the New England Free Jacks, was in the starting lineup this week. Took a line out, giving the Free Jacks deep possession within Anthem territory. Patros executed a pass to Vanderbank, who broke through the line and scored a try. Patros' conversion was good, extending the Free Jacks lead 21-0 going into halftime. And what I was telling everybody, and just kind of joking around, every time that we had the ball, I was like, give it to Wayne. Something awesome is going to happen. Just an amazing year from that guy. He leads some category. Well, he's in the top 5 of certain categories like meters gained. He's getting up there in tries as well, tackles. That's one thing that we don't notice. Everybody, their eyes are drawn to the offensive output that Wayne has because it's impressive to see him hit the defensive line and always keep moving. It takes at least two or three defenders to bring him down. I don't think this is something that they keep up with in the stat columns, but meters after contact, he has to be leading the league and by a large margin. So just really, really impressed with him. Obviously, the Free Jacks playing a very inferior opponent in the form of Charlotte, Rugby, Anthem, whatever, Healthcare ROC. So we expected them to jump up on these guys and show us a dominant performance. I was looking for a little bit more, obviously, in terms of a scoreline going into halftime, but you really can never be too upset when you're playing a professional team when you're up by 21 at halftime. Let me check the chat here real quick to see what else everybody's saying. Not seeing much anything at this point. And Dave is not with us, so I'll just continue on with the article here. We'll get his first and second half thoughts shortly. All right, coming out of the break, Quatrin scored his second try of the match. Conversion failed, increasing the lead to 26-0. Shortly after, the Free Jacks worked like a well-oiled machine as Malachi Halanagati scored a try to increase New England's lead to 33 points. With only 5 minutes left in the match, Anthem's Connor Robinson, that Connor Robinson from Mystic River, also played ball at BC. Very good rugby player. I've talked about this many times, I'd love to have Connor come back home and will be one of our depth hooker guys. But he scored on Anthem's first try, followed by a conversion from Oscar Kohler, as the match ended, Free Jacks' Toby Frecker received a pass on the wing and dove over the line for a Free Jacks try. That is his first try in a Free Jacks red, white, and blue uniform, so congratulations to Toby. Patras converted the kick to settle the final score 40-7 as the result of the international break. I'm reading that correctly. I know I always mess up the articles, but that is how it is worded, folks. The Free Jacks have 2 weeks before the playoffs, and their squad will scatter around the rugby world. We've got 7 players away for international duty, so we have been trying to manage going through those 2 weeks. The rest of the team will get 1 week off, and then we will train fully the next week. It is all about trying to be the best prepared and have as much cohesion going from this game into the playoffs, said General Manager Thomas Kindley. The defending Major League Rugby MLR champions finished first in the Eastern Conference with a record 11-5, 55 table points. The Free Jacks opened the playoffs against Old Glory DC, boo, hiss, at home on Saturday, July the 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The match will air on FS2. I almost said ESPN, but I didn't. Almost did, but I didn't. Rugby is only an 80-minute game, so it goes pretty quick. You have to be consistent, not just on the day, but for your training weeks, you have to make sure you're working hard, not taking it easy, and no shortcuts, and it will show when we get to a game. That was from Captain Jason Potters. Obviously, Potty was the captain in this game. Josh Larson, Larry did come on in the second half, late in the second half, but on-pitch captain Mitch Jacobson was not available for this game. We're going to get I didn't even know this. I didn't see it. I thought Dave joined twice, but here we've got Dave, Diamond Dave, and Bozo on here. I wanted to get you boys' first half thoughts, obviously going into the barn there, into the sheds with a 21-0 victory. Any takeaways in the first half of the Free Jacks in your mind?
Real exciting for Wayne Vanderbeek to score right off the bat like he did just 3 minutes in. I think it set the tone. It was probably pretty indicative of where Anthem was going to struggle on the day, right? The coordinated defense.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to see. Definitely a good first half. I mean, you felt pretty good going into halftime with the score. I thought it was kind of classy for the Free Jacks fans to clap Anthem off too.
Yeah.
Even at the half, there was some respect going out. They're likely to look very different next year. They were put together in the span of a few short weeks
Yeah.
before the season started. And in a lot of ways, these guys had a pretty difficult job. Especially some of the veteran players kind of brought in as leadership, but the young guys too. So I think it was good to see the faithful at Fort Quincy supporting Anthem, at least in theory. And of course, we have a lot of connections there: Cale Hodgson and Connor Robinson and
Yeah.
Sean Yacobian, and then of course Junior Gaffa and Ivan Pula,
Yeah.
guys who were loaned down there. So I enjoyed the first half. The weather was wonderful.
Yeah.
As I was saying earlier, I had a friend from work who joined me along with his brother, and their first outing had been ruined very appropriately by overly loud huzzas. So I'm glad that the mic was busted for that.
Yeah.
Everybody got to experience it live a little bit. But no, it was great. It's always fun to watch rugby with some friends. It was a cool setup because my friend Joe, big sports guy, really bright, so picking up the rules, they're laws, but we call them rules. It's okay. Picking up the rules quickly as we're talking through it. His brother played several years of rugby, so like his brother knew the rules, Joe didn't, and so he had me and his bro on either side of him, kind of tag team and explaining. Not in an overbearing way, and my friend Joe is very curious, so there was a lot of like, oh, but why when he, like the knock on into an offsides player, for example, he was like,
Right.
didn't he just drop it? Why would that be a penalty? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a very good question. It's a weird thing that happens, but kind of explaining the principles of the game, and that's what I really enjoy. So I had a
That's
really
cool.
really fun start to the game.
Awesome. Bozo, what was your first half thoughts? And also, what was your experience at Fort Quincy for the first time in 2024 like?
Yeah, probably first and last time, Phil. I was just happy to be there. Electric. I think we were on the. I think we were on the scoreboard. I think it was 3.5 minutes in, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah,
So
man.
pretty much right away, I picked an excellent seat up there in section 5 with the crazies. It got a little crazy as it tends to do.
As
I
it
thought
does.
the Free Jacks. I mean, I know it's Anthem. They're the worst team in the league. We wish them well, but I was just really happy to see that the team controlled. Like I just felt the game never felt out in question at all,
Yeah.
and they were just very non-threatening. Like the Free Jacks were smothering them, even when you know. I'll say this. I think maybe more in the second half this happened than the first half, but like even when the penalties were on for Anthem, or it seemed like it would be on for them, maybe a team like a Houston or a Seattle or a San Diego finishes those sequences with a try, but Anthem just couldn't quite get over the line. But
Yeah.
I think that's also credit to our boys. Like I mean, we you talked about it. Wayne Vanderbank, I think this was still in the first half, was the try saving tackle, and then
Yep.
like two or a phase later, another try saving tackle. I mean, just an unbelievable, indomitable will, to just be
Mhm.
like, no, you're not scoring on us. I know we eventually let up one in the second half, but it was great to see, and it was just great to be there in the crowd at Fort Quincy for probably the last time this season, unfortunately, for me. I'm gonna try to make it. We'll see. We'll
All
see.
right. Well, it's always better to have you there than not, of course. You bring a great energy. And also, some people don't quite realize this. If they don't watch, they'll watch along. Bozo's not just here for comedic entertainment. He's very, very good with analysis. And I appreciate you doing that stuff. Kenny and I were talking about the game, and then you were chiming in with some excellent little insights there. So I always enjoy that kind of stuff for sure. And what was I going to say? Just Wayne Vanderbank just having an absolute amazing game. I think is my first takeaway in the first half is just like this guy knew that he was getting a trophy at the end of the game, and he was like, "Well, I'm just going to remove all doubt that I am, in fact, the fans player of the year. I'm going to show you for the folks that didn't vote for me." I'm sure he didn't think that. Very, very nice guy. By all accounts, an extremely good person. So he probably didn't think that. But I have a feeling, and of course, we'll ask Coach Scott Matthew this on Thursday, who he's going to be joining the show at 3 p.m. on Independence Day, folks. So if you'd like to hear from Coach Matthew or you've got some questions for him, throw those in the chat at that time during the live stream and we'll get to them. But I have a feeling that the team, just the way that they were reacting to Anthem and that defensive performance that they put in the first half and the second half, I think that team was challenged not to give up any points.
Yeah.
That might have had something to do with the money in the bank thing that they do, or I can't remember, like the height, whatever it's called, the safe, money in the bank thing. That might have been something that they had the little extra perks type of thing. And obviously, it didn't work out the way that we wanted to with keeping a goose egg on the board there. But just really, really impressed by the entire team. This is an inferior opponent, so you can't look at this like, oh, we're going to beat everybody by 40 points now. Like, no big deal. The playoffs are just going to be some sort of joke that we're just going to sidestep and dance into the end zone with. You know what I mean? A la prime time. But it's just good to see a dominant win against a professional team right before the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's move over to musket size pant 10. Or do you guys have any second half thoughts that you wanted to share?
No, I mean, I think that one of the cool things, Malachi Hall getting that try after his yellow card, and it's a fair yellow card. You just went a little high. It was on, I think it was on Gramlich. So how do you get, I don't know, a guy who's like 6'8", it's impressive. Anybody can hit him in the head, but Malachi managed to.
He had to jump.
Yeah, it was mitigated because he'd changed his height.
Right.
Gramlich's dropping down. So I mean, it's a fair call. I actually thought the process worked really well with, okay, it's foul play. There's a high level of danger. However, it's mitigated. You had the TMO repeat it, and then you had Jared Ford, the ref in the center, just verbatim repeating the exact words the TMO used to make sure everybody's on the same page. I heard you right. I got the right interpretation. Yeah, it's nice. It's a little thing, but it's nice when something like that goes right?
Yeah.
It's good to see the process work. And then it always sucks to get a card, so great to see him come on and then score that last try, the little gift from Mitch Wilson. Not quite a gift. Mitch had to pass it to somebody, and Malachi was there. So really well done. Rugby at its finest. Draw the man, pass the ball, and Malachi goes in untouched. I thought it was a nice way to cap things off.
100%. Bozo, you got anything?
Yeah, I was bummed that healthcare. We wish them well. Bummed that they did score a try. Much would have liked to put the nothing burger on them because we didn't get the 50 burger. So if you could deliver the nothing burger, it would have been good. But just like I was saying after the match in the live stream, where hey, if we're gonna wish them well, that's about as good as we could wish them well, right? We just kind of give them a try with like 6 minutes. It was also good because you know what? I feel like their try was well deserved. They had knocked on the door a number of times and been turned away. You can chalk it up to Free Jack's resilience. You can chalk it up to great defense, or you can just chalk it up. It just didn't go their way. And I think that they did deserve points on the day, so it was good to see him get one. I was also happy to see again that we just kind of kept the intensity. Like you're right, it's not the best competition. It's not. Listen, they're 0-16. They're the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
You can make all the excuses that you want, but like it's still good that when you play the worst team in the league, you beat them like they're the worst team in the league before the playoffs, and you're keeping that intensity level high. I felt like that's one of the other cool things about watching a game in person that I don't do often, but you feel the intensity on, you know what I mean, like just kind of oozing off the field, and like they weren't letting up. All the substitutions coming on, they weren't letting up, so that was really cool to see. And it was just great to celebrate, man. It was great that it was in the bag, that I wasn't worried about it. There was no squeaky bum time. The bums weren't squeaking. I even think, I think if you go back, if you can check the footage, I don't know if they caught you, Phil, but I believe the arms came uncrossed somewhere around the 66th minute. It was pretty early. It was pretty early for those arms to come uncrossed. For something other than a huzzah or a high five. I think that you were pretty relaxed for the last quarter of the game, so that was good.
It's always a good
that's
feeling.
all I got.
It's always a good feeling where you don't have to be stressed out watching your team. Like, are they gonna get this win here at home? It hasn't been a fortress this year. That's always in the back of my mind. Like, you don't want to have teams hang around because the consequence could be a big L sitting in your lap. So yeah, it's nice to go into autopilot a little bit here with being able to celebrate and feel joyous and stuff like that because of the victory over an inferior opponent for sure. So, yeah, now we go into playoff time, obviously, and there's a lot that we'll be discussing over the next couple weeks. We're going to get Scott Matthey in here on Thursday at 3 p.m. on Independence Day. Beyond that, we're going to line up at least 2 more interviews prior to the game against DC, our little brothers, the Thieves. So, very, very exciting stuff coming up for the Jacks Rangers show. Let's get to musket size pants tent real quick. Junior Gaffa for me. the Free Jacks 2023 second-round pick out of Brown University, where he played American football for 4 years, 23 years old, 5'10", 215 pounds. He looks bigger than that, by the way. He looks like a monster out there in the back line. He's originally from Samoa, but moved to California when he was a young man. When he was a kid, he's been loaned out to Charlotte. And has a contract with the Free Jacks. His performance in this game and many others this season has Free Jacks fans very excited about his future with the red, white, and blue. Definitely was their best player on the field. Their 15 is pretty dang good as well. Don't recall his name, but he can definitely play. It's always interesting to see Shaden Berry, which is the son of our co-owner David Berry, come on, and I think he was playing number 22 or 23, coming onto the pitch. Awesome to see him at Fort Quincy. David Berry was there in attendance to see his son, which is awesome. But Junior Goffa, what can you say about a guy that, he might be the Free Jacks' best ever draft pick? We've got some good ones that are still on the roster, obviously, but there's still time for this to be figured out. But I think he shows the most promise out of anybody that we've drafted. I think that's fair to say.
When the dust settles, I think he may have the most. Yeah. He just looks like a guy who's going to have a wild career if he wants it, right?
Yeah, man.
His first season, he is bouncing people off right and left. He is making crazy meters. He's a phenomenal player, and it's let me tell you, it was really exciting to be in the stands to point him out and reassure my friend, don't worry, he actually plays for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a Free Jack. That guy is on loan, and we get him back.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was doing that as well. I appreciate Crystal's patience because I was like, oh, that's Ivan Pulla. He's also our player. Oh, that's Junior Goffa. He's our player too. And then I was also pointing out Connor Robinson and Gail Hodgson. Bless her heart. Let's move over to Inkify MVP real quick here. And Dave, I'll let you go first. Who you got?
Yeah, I can't shy away from my man Wayne Vanderbank. As you said, he was voted the fans player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you joked about him being like, oh, I got to go out there. I think he's so humble that I really think it does light a little bit of a fire in him. Where I think if he had an average game, even average for him, I think he would have maybe been beating himself up a little bit, right?
Could be.
And so, I think it might have. I think it might have launched him because he had quite a game. You mentioned the defensive effort, so not just scoring and on attack. He's always phenomenal. But at one point he comes. I don't remember which Anthem player was on a breakaway, but Vanderbeek comes like Terminator sprinting in. He's got the perfect rhythm arms. He comes from the side of the screen, just on an absolutely unreal cover tackle. He rips the ball out of the guy's arms. I'm sure he's disappointed because he lost it trying to offload it in contact right after that. But it's still an amazing play. It's a try-saving tackle and a steal all in about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
He has been great all year, and I think it's really appropriate that he had such a phenomenal match for the season ender, the regular season ender there at Fort Quincy. I'll also shout out Reese McDonald, who had 2 tries robbed from him.
Yep.
One is kind of marginal. He wasn't held, the referee's the sole judge of law and fact, and according to him, he really clearly said, no, you were held, so you had to release the ball. Yep. On video, one angle, it looks like he's held, and the other angle, it looks like he's not. But he was frustrated. And then there was a Paula Bellicana forward pass or knock that didn't, again, the video didn't seem to show it.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Ref's a lot closer than the cameraman, so he calls what he sees. But Reese McDonald, he was feeling it. He wanted those points both times. He was just in untouched and got whistled back, and he clearly felt like, oh no, I had full rights to the ball. So could have had a couple more points up there. I'll also just say about Anthem, do you feel like, Phil, the Free Jacks are a better team now than they were week 1?
100%. Yes.
We had almost the same score week 1 game 1 and I guess it's week 18 or whatever, but game 16, right?
Mhm.
We had the same margin. We beat them last time, um, 46-13, and this time we beat them 40-7. Right?
Yeah.
Same margin, 6 points difference for both teams between the last game and this game. And I think that actually tells you how much Anthem improved, right?
Yeah.
Because in order to have that same score against us now, they had to improve as much between then and now as we've improved in terms of our
Absolutely.
execution, our coherency, and so like I and others have said, like next year's going to be different for Anthem. They'll have a lot more time to plan their team. They'll
Yeah.
be able to be a lot more deliberate about who they bring in, what they're doing for player development, their depth chart kind of stuff. Hopefully, we see some more domestic tens there. People have talked. It's not like a rumor. Just would be nice. Maybe Antisev from LA to get out. He's a domestic 10 who's gotten some minutes
Mhm.
on his own merits. Might be good to get him or an equivalent. I don't really know the up and coming tens market. I'll be honest, but it would be kind of cool to see somebody like that out there.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously it's a bit of a bit to say we wish them well. I mean, Bozo said it 3 times in this episode alone, but we do genuinely wish them well in the sense that like the idea is important for the growth of the sport within this country. Like for things to be hunky dory and for fans to get on board and be engaged, you have to have a good national team. I think the USA men's team in soccer kind of reflects that a little bit. They had a run about 15 years ago at this point ish, back in the World Cup where they made the quarterfinals. And everybody's watching. Like, even if you're not a soccer person, you heard it at the water cooler. So it created a bit of buzz for the
Mm-hmm.
sport, more eyes on it that you would normally get. We need that within this country for our national team. The women's team does really well, right? Especially the women's sevens team. It's a possibility that they might even medal at this Olympics, and that will bring more eyes to the sport, which is great. But you really, really have to have a excellent men's national team to kind of push this thing a little bit further. Like we're all trying to push this thing a little bit further. Moving a rock up a hill, it sometimes feels like it, but that's going to put some rocket fuel behind. We're going to have like a rocket pack on it to be able to push it up if the men's national team gets some juice in them. So that's what this is all about. Is Anthem is we're putting all these young guys together to see if they can create some cohesion, and some of them will be selected for the national team. So that's the idea. It's a couple years away from it being effective, I think, within the league, but we just have to give it time and hope for the best. Obviously, the branding sucks. I've talked about that a million times, but everything else, the idea is pretty cool. Bozo, who's your MVP? I haven't said mine yet, but do you have one real quick?
Man, too easy. Real quick, Wayne's World party time. Excellent, Wayne
Yeah,
Vanderbank. Dude, we missed you last season. We love watching you play, dude. You're super exciting to watch play. You're so easy to get behind, dude. You're a really
yeah,
likable athlete and
yeah.
an enjoyable player to watch, dude. We gotta come up with the bowling ball, the ping pong, dude. I don't know, man. You got to be made of the hardest New Hampshire granite to be taking those shots and continuously giving them out, dude. What a match! What a player! Good
It's
guy.
weird. It's
Awesome.
weird. Like you stand beside him. I took a photo with him, and like he looks like a professional athlete, but he doesn't look like the guy that's doing everything that he does. Does that make sense? Like you wouldn't guess that from him. Being able to just continue to keep moving in contact like that and making all of those tackles. Like he obviously looks fit and looks strong, but like to do what he does, he would need to be built like a professional wrestler. But he gets it done, man. I don't know how he does it. I'm so glad he's on this team. He signed a 5-year contract. I told Crystal about this a couple days ago. I was like, this is the only guy that has ever signed a 5-year deal with the Free Jacks, and maybe the only guy that's ever signed a 5-year deal within MLR. I'd love to look that up. But, I mean, the Free Jacks TK knew what he had at that time. And I know that Wayne stays here all year round, guys. Like, he's invested in this American experience. Like, it's really, really cool. I know he does coaching in the offseason as well. I think the most recent one was the Boston Irish Wolfhounds. So, yeah, really, really like that guy a lot. Great guy to have around the clubhouse for sure. And for me, it's Wayne's World Party time. Excellent. Just as as Bozo was saying here, Wayne Vanderbank, he was getting a trophy at the end of this at this game for the first Residence Fans Player of the Year, and he must have told himself that he was going to go out and remove all doubt by him winning the season's award by putting in one of the best individual performances we've seen all season long, scoring a brace with a kick and chase to himself, which was wild. Like, I looked at your side of the crowd, Dave, and I was just like, what? Wow, it was so good.
It was wild.
He showed everyone why he's been the best center in MLR this year, incredible player, and even better person. He always reaches out to us to acknowledge when we talk about him on Instagram, when we tag him for stuff, when we include him in the MVP awards, which he's going to be in this week, obviously, as well. He always reaches out and gives us a heart and says thank you, which, that's not a big deal. It takes 2 seconds to do that, but like consistently every single time. So like, I really appreciate him for doing that. He's thanked the fans multiple times after he was given that trophy. I witnessed that. He did that to me as well, saying thank you to the Rangers and stuff like that. So just a great guy. We're lucky to have him for sure. So yeah, that is my MVP, Inkify MVP award winner. And Dave, that is yours as well. And Bozo, we have you on here. You're just going to town over there. I don't know what you're eating. I'm so glad you're
chewing the fat.
You have the foresight not to unmute yourself as you're eating there. But glad you're here.
Living your best life.
That's right, pal.
I'm gonna give you a bonus notice.
All right.
Oscar Lennon had a very good match. He kicked for more distance than Patros or McDonald.
How about those box kicks, man?
Yeah.
He's good.
He's real good. You forget it's people ask like, okay, we got this guy scrum half from the Bristol Bears. Like, what's he gonna bring that Holden doesn't have? What's he gonna bring that Cam doesn't have? And it's hard to pin it down, right? It's hard to be like, oh, he's gonna do this and this. But man, when you see him hit one of those exit kicks, and we're like on our, maybe our 5 meter line, a little in front, and he boots it all the way down to halfway, like really safely. That's the kind of stuff that it really matters. It's easy not to notice, like big box kick exits like that take all the pressure off. But he had a really good performance and a couple nice cheeky little grubber kicks and stuff too, attacking. So really like what we're seeing out of Oscar Lennon out there too.
I mean, when you come from a team like the Bristol Bears directly to the Free Jacks in the Premiership, like, that this guy's got something, and to be able to see it come together on the pitch at Fort Quincy, it's really, really exciting. We talked about this with TK about these additions that he's made. These 3 guys are the best that has ever come in at one time. Like, I will put my hand to the air and say that is definitely the case. I can't think of anything that's like it in terms of where these guys have come from and where they are now. It's really special. Like, we're built for the playoffs, and you can see that. We're going to get further into playoff talk as the weeks progress here with the international break. Dave, what are you going to be up to the next couple weeks?
I'm going to be working, actually. I got summer school starting on Monday, so
right on.
I'm going to be enjoying that. A little bit of a role shift for me. And just enjoying summer as much as I can, hanging out with the kids, probably at the pool a lot. How about you?
Doing some traveling, I think, in the next couple weeks. We'll see how that goes. Other than that, just working on the content for the show and working hard in my day job. Bozo, what you got coming up?
I'll be rolling down to Thumpertown, aka Outer Cape, on Thursday. Pray for me. I'm driving on July 4th.
Yeah.
So pray for that I don't get stuck in abysmal traffic because I got to make that hit time with you and Coach Matthew. So I'll probably be doing another headphone, cell phone setup. That's what I'll be doing. And then I'm back after on Sunday. Got to drive back, and then like Dave, I'm just right back to work, man. Right back on the grind. I got a lot of yard work to do.
There you go.
I'll be out at. I get to shoot some cannons this summer, so not everyone gets to shoot cannons in their life. Cool. So hopefully, I'm gonna try to get an intro video shot for the show with the cannon going off.
Sounds amazing.
Pretty cool. We'll see. I don't know. No promises, but that's what I'm up to.
Sounds like a good time for sure. Like I said earlier in the show, the content doesn't stop with this show. Like, there's an international break, and obviously USA is playing, which is very, very exciting. They got 3 games within the United States, but also Canada's playing. We got several players that have been selected to the Canadian squad. I think it was 6 in total. They're playing Scotland this weekend in Ottawa. I would love to go to that game, but it's not going to work out, unfortunately. But We've got Scott Matthey on Thursday at 3 o'clock, as Bozo was alluding to. On Independence Day, we've got the head coach of the Free Jacks. After that, we're looking to line up at least 2 more interviews during this international break. And, of course, we'll be right back with you on game week on Tuesday to discuss the DC game in the first game of the playoffs for the Free Jacks, the Eastern Conference semifinal. I think we've done it all, boys. We've talked about Anthem. We've talked about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And I think we've got nothing left to say except for one word, and that's going to happen in 3, 2, 1. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Huzzah!